This video shows a scene from a session at one of our 3-day summer courses here on Wolf Island this past summer. You will see Lynn Anderson, a teacher with years of experience working with real spelling in primary grades, model a lesson that targets young children, while the rest of us take the role of students in the classroom. I am using this as a kind of worked example of strategies that can be used to teach any orthographic concept through a structured word inquiry approach. This is a teacher-led inquiry, so Lynn has planned the activity to highlight specific orthographic content that she has chosen. In this case, identifying the graphemes available to write the phoneme f. Although the lesson targets grapheme phoneme correspondences, you'll see that Lynn begins the session with a reading activity designed to make sure that the children are familiar with the meaning of the words that will be used in this investigation of orthographic phonology. The first point from Lynn's lesson that I want to highlight then is her excellent illustration of the idea that lessons targeting the mechanics and spelling of reading should occur within the context of meaning.
Okay, I'm going to give you some words. When you've got your words, I want you to have a go at reading them and thinking about the meaning of those words. And at this stage, I don't want you to share anything, just to be thinking yourself.
So in this activity, children are able to read silently if they wish. They will get help if they need it as well, as you'll see in a moment.
I want you to choose one of those words and please read it to the person who's sitting next to you and talk about the meaning of the word.
These are the words she chose. Now, it may seem like an odd list for a grade 2 class, but don't forget, the first part of the class was designed specifically to help the kids become comfortable reading and understanding the meaning of all of these words. Perhaps words like pharmacy, muffin, or perfume were drawn from a story or activity Lynn's students have done recently. The point is, there's nothing particularly special about these words. It's just that Lynn needed a list of words that included the 3 graphemes for f, plus the doubled f that will be addressed in part 2 of this video. Any teacher interested in drawing from Lynn's lesson would be encouraged to pick their own words that link to studies in their own classroom.
As a quick aside, part 2 of this video will talk about why RUFF and ROUGH are good words in this list as well for teaching about the homophone principle. If you go to the Real Spelling website, you can download an overview of the Toolbox themes, and you'll see that there are 2 themes early on that address the homophone principle. But now, back to Lynn's lesson.
One that I was curious about is muffin, which I like to eat in the morning. And
Yeah, pharmacy.
if you're interested,
It's a
there's
place to get
a pre-K, a
medicine.
couple of them that you might want to have a
Look
look at
at,
that are commercially
PH,
available, but nothing
probably
else we
Greek.
share with
Do you have enough?
And an interesting
There's a GH
investigation that we
grapheme
might
for-
use at another
Huh?
time. The kids have had some time to just share some of the meanings and read the words, and some of the kids will not have been able to read their words, so their partner would have helped them at this stage.
Right.
What I want you to do now is swap the word that you shared with your partners. Kids who are struggling with reading, I just find that this is a really good activity for them, that they feel good about themselves, because now that they are able to read a certain number of words, but when they first started they couldn't read any of their words. And then I asked them to then go and find their own original word, because kids love to have the word they started with. So please find your own word at this stage and come and sit back down in your places.
Now, the children have had a chance to work at reading and understanding a set of words, and they are especially confident with one specific word they've chosen. Lynn has prepared the class to do a structured word inquiry into her target question: what are the ways to write f? The Guess My Rule strategy that she uses is a great one to get the whole class thinking about the rules at their own speed.
Now we're going to play a game. And I want you to think about my thinking. I'm going to make a chart here, and I'm going to ask you to give me your words, and I'm going to sort the words on the chart. But I'm not going to tell you what my sorting rule is. You have to try and think of that yourself by looking at the way that I'm grouping the words together. To begin with, I don't want you to share any of your thoughts. I just want you to be thinking inside your head as I do it. Okay, so Pete, could you give us one of your words?
Muffin.
Muffin, okay, M-U-F-F-I-N. Muffin. Tell us what it is.
Alphabet.
Alphabet, that's an interesting word. Does anybody know where that might come from? Greek origins.
The PH for
PH, okay, so A-L-P-H-A-B-E-T, and I'm going to put that word in that column there. Remembering to be thinking about my sorting room.
So can you spell it again?
A-L-P-H-A-B-E-T. Alphabet.
Safe.
Safe, okay, S-A-F, single silent E, and I'm going to put that one here. R-O-U-G-H, and I'm going to put that word in this column here. This word, pharmacy, and that's another word for
Drugstore.
a drugstore, or in Australia it's called a
Chemist.
chemist. Does anybody know a word for a pharmacy in a different language?
Pharmacia.
Pharmacia.
Apothek, that's Dutch, which is also used in Indonesian.
What's it? Aptec?
Apotheker.
Yeah. Okay, and I'm going to put this word, pharmacy, P-H-A-R-M-A-C-Y, in this group here. So Catherine, do you think you might have an idea about where your next word might go?
I think laugh is going to go with rough because of the GH.
Okay.
You need to pause here to note a number of things that are going on. First, you see that Lynn has moved from having us thinking silently on her own to sharing our thinking by having us tell the class where we would put our next words. Still, the rule is not stated, so our thinking is not stopped, but the students do get to share their hypotheses. Second, I'm sure you've noticed how Lynn has been using spelling words out in graphemic groups to signal what the graphemes are in these words. This highlights the graphemes for the target phoneme f, but other multi-letter graphemes like th are also reinforced with this simple practice that is repeated over and over. Third, note that Catherine sorts her word laugh correctly with rough, but she incorrectly hypothesizes GH as a digraph for f. In the course of this lesson, we look at the evidence that shows there is no GH digraph for f, but instead just a UGH trigraph. I'm particularly impressed with the response to Catherine's statement. Lynn knows it to be incorrect, but for the moment she simply provides a subtle cue to the whole class by the way she spells out the word laugh as L-A-U-G-H. I love the way Lynn uses spelling out to plant the seed for the discussion of UGH that comes later.
Okay. Alright, so L-A-U-G-H. John?
Fluff. I think it goes in the first column.
Okay.
Hey, that's full of F's.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I'm just going to move that one,
I see.
and I'm going to put it down here. And there's a special reason why, so be thinking about that as well. So fluff, F-L-U-F-F. So could you spell that for us?
F-L-I-G-H-T.
Okay.
And I think it goes there. G-H.
Okay, so enough, E-N-O-U-G-H. So now that we've sorted them, and I think you might know my sorting rule. So can you share that with the person next to you? What you think the sorting rule is?
So this is the single F sound. This is the double F
So these
in
are
the
all using
in the final median and final.
We'll ask the class at the end of doing an activity like this, it's always the same kids that will want to share, but if you give children an opportunity to think, pair, share, then everybody gets an opportunity to share their thinking.
What do you say? Think, pair, share.
Think, pair, share.
What do
So
you
you
mean by
think the thinking part is
Uh-huh.
where you're thinking on your own, and remember I said a couple of times this is when I want you to think on your own in your own head.
Okay.
And I don't want you to share yet, and the sharing is sharing with a partner, so you're sharing your ideas, and you can do it in lots of different ways. I'm going to choose someone from your group to share the information, so everybody has to be actively involved in the thinking part. So I think we've worked it out, haven't we?
We've now come to the end of the investigation of the graphemes for f. In part 2, coming soon I hope, we consolidate our learning and of course make further discoveries.